by the coronavirus affecting the entire world, did we all bring this into our reality at the same time? When we say to you, we've been saying it for a long time, that we are all in this together, we really mean that there is a point of attraction. You know how we talk about your point of attraction? Well, there is a collective consciousness point of attraction. There is a non-physical vibrational reality point of attraction. So it's always true that whatever is happening on your planet, you're all in on it to the degree that you're giving it attention. And as we began here today, you know how we were acknowledging that your propensity for your thought right now, setting aside the actual thought that you may be thinking in any moment in time, your propensity for thought is about what you've been practicing. And so it shouldn't be too hard to figure out what has been going on globally in terms of what people are thinking about. There has never been more step oneing going on. There have never been more people pushing against more things. Ever. And so it's not a surprise that now your propensity would be to attract something that is a manifestation of all of that. You've been hearing us say that what you think about creates a vibrational reality that eventually those thoughts will turn to things. And so it's all right. They've been doing that for a very long time. Esther, just in an attitude of calibrating the other day, she Googled how many deaths there were in the United States in the year 2018. And she was bowled over to see that it was 2.8 something million, almost 3 million deaths in the United States in 2018. And those deaths are not because people are pushing against things. It's not because of resistance only. It can be. But it's also because some are eager to make their transition. It's because some have that agreement with non-physical. It's because some have lost interest in what's going on here. It's because some have been listening to so much that's been so troubling and so irritating that they've lost their zest for life. And when you lose your eagerness about life, you stop calling life to you. And then something manifests that satisfies that request also, you see. And so don't freak out about any of this. By that we mean any of this that we are saying to you right now. We are not wanting you to take this as a message from us that says it's just going to happen and just line up with it. Our message is to soothe you, to make you understand something that all of you do understand, and that is that you came into this experience to joyfully survive. To joyfully survive. Not just to survive, to joyfully survive. Because if there's a steady flowing of thought that isn't joyful, then you do not remain, which is what survive means, you do not remain in that current form. Instead, you reemerge into non-physical, where in one fell swoop you leave behind all doubt and fear and all things that are resistant in nature. And you become the vibrational reality that you have been creating through all that you have lived. And so it is affecting the entire world. Did all bring this into our reality at the same time? Yes. It is a manifestation of what's been going on with your collective thoughts. Now, we've been telling you something for a long time, nearly from the first conversation that we had with any of you as we were flowing through Esther's apparatus. It's really an important thing to hear right now. And that is, not one other person needs to know what you are understanding from this conversation for you to receive the benefit of your own alignment. Not one. In other words, everybody doesn't need to understand this. And furthermore, it's not a bad thing that so many people have been pushing against so many things. We don't mean that either. We don't suggest that you get on a campaign where you get out into the world and try to stifle or silence the words and negative thoughts of people. That's not what this conversation is about. What instead we are encouraging you to do is let it roll off your back, to know that it doesn't have anything to do with you, to not focus upon it so that you calibrate on it to the point that you receive negative emotion. You can be focused upon what's going on with any conversation or with anything that's happening anywhere, and if it's not causing negative emotion within you, then you're having a step one moment without it having any negative impact on you. Step one is ask, you know about that. Step two is source answers immediately. No kidding, immediately when you ask it and it's given. Somebody should write a book about that. And step three, kidding, we wrote a book about that. Ask and it is given. See it? You've already got it. It's probably in your bookshelf now or in your audio file now. Turn to the back to those processes. It can help you out. Ask. When you ask, it is given. Step three is you got to get into the receiving mode. When you get into the receiving mode, you feel better. Step four is you're really good at being in the receiving mode because you've practiced it. You've got momentum going. You catch it earlier. Those are familiar words to you right now. You catch it earlier. You catch it before it gets so much momentum going. You catch the negative emotion earlier when it's easier for you to turn your attention toward the solution or toward the desire. And then step five is you're back in step one, but it's not causing you distress. You're back in step one. You're having an awareness of what's going on. You're aware of what's going on, but you are not pushing against it. And therefore, you are not in resistance to the calling of that your inner being is calling toward wellness and replenishment. That's a really important thing for you to hear. You can't push against something that you are observing in your current situation and at the same time allow yourself to be called into replenishment. Two entirely different vibrational frequencies. And while pushing against is natural, don't get carried away with it. And understand that what your inner being is doing is what we want you to understand. It's our definition of compassion. Compassion is what Source does, who you call God does, what your inner being does. Compassion is step five. It's having the ability to look at a situation and not freak out. To look at a situation and understand that there is an equivalent vortexual, vibrational reality version of it that's on it. To understand that the question deserves and wants an answer and that you feel better for having the question because the answer is evolution. And the same is true with a problem. A problem is important because the solution is evolution. And so, an expansion. And so, we like that question too.